Listen, however long we want to dedicate to the Jonathan being amazed by boobs section of the podcast, I'm all game. Like,
welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Playing a video game.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Do you need for us to wait, Danae?
Nope.
For you to finish, or?
Nope.
Okay.
No, it's a mindless game where I'm just matching colors.
You combine a mindless video game with a mindless podcast recording, you know.
It's going to be a good day.
Why activate your mind for anything in your life these days? You know, just leave your mind disactive, right? Isn't that the goal?
That's right. And plus, you guys don't mind. You're so sweet.
Yes.
Try.
Well, it's not that we don't mind. I mean, I'm not trying to speak for Jonathan. It's more that there's no point in trying to change it. Like, you know.
Or what can you do? We're all
Right.
apart from each other. It's
That's
not
right.
like you can
There's
reach
nothing I
over
can
and
do.
just turn off my computer.
Yeah. I can't turn around this car this very moment if you don't stop.
That's
you know,
right.
like I'm not the dad or anything like that. I don't know. Do your thing.
No. I'm
I
putting
will
it
pull
down.
over.
That's true. I will pull this podcast over, young lady.
How many times have you said that with 4 kids ever? Or is that your? Actually, I think Jen would say that before you would, but
Yeah, no, I do remember we definitely had moments in vehicles traveling. That is something that is common for, you know, having kids if you're going on vacation or something like that. But I tried so hard not to use empty threats. And a lot of times those things are empty threats. Like I would never tell my kids, listen, we can turn this car around right now and go back home. I would never say that because it's not happening. It's not even a possibility.
That was not an empty threat from my mom. I guarantee.
I bet it was. I bet it was. Did you ever do it? Did they ever do it? Like, you know, that's the thing. Like many of those.
Shut up.
Right. Well, hey, you know, and that's like, you know, the practical nature of it. I totally get the parenting thing where it works, so I'm gonna say it. You know.
Right. No, I was taking parenting courses. Like there's these online parenting tutorials, especially there's this one lady and she's like, you know, how to parent without yelling. And I want to embody that not yelling vibe and kind of break a yelling cycle. And so I listened to her commentary so I can learn about the triggers so I can hopefully teach my daughter how to communicate without yelling and to think that that's the best way to, you know, get what you want or whatever. And I've learned a lot, but one of the first things was make sure that whatever your quote unquote threat is or whatever, it's got to match the moment and don't do empty threats. And she gave a lot of examples of empty threats, like you've got your tickets to go to Florida and she's on her phone and you're like, if you don't get off your phone, we're not going to our vacation to Florida.
Right, exactly, yeah.
You have to be willing to follow through on that or it doesn't matter at all. And I didn't realize that it is something easy to kind of go to even now, but I try really hard to make sure I ask myself that question. Am I willing to do this and follow through on what I say?
Yeah.
That was one of the conversations my wife and I had when we got my daughter a phone and like a computer and stuff, because we were like, we have to actually be willing to take that stuff away from her.
Right.
Because I got to tell you, if it's a week where I've got to take my daughter to a bunch of activities and stuff, I want her to have her phone.
Yeah. That's the thing you don't realize. Like, it's helpful for us too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I got to think of something else to take away from her if she decides to misbehave. You know.
Well, welcome to Behind the Parenting. We are the B team is the
people have
parenting
said they
pod.
like hearing this stuff, so
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for that too. You know, there's a different vibe depending on which CinemaSins podcast, you know, you listen to. And certainly on this one, we do talk more about parenting.
Yeah, we've all got kids, you know, like it's a thing. You know, maybe Barrett should join us every once in a while. And we can talk about parenting.
Chris has got that kid in the closet, you know.
Well,
so,
we don't talk.
I mean,
we don't talk about
yeah,
them.
sorry.
Yeah, we don't talk about them.
And if you haven't listened to Sincast, that is definitely a joke.
Thanks for clarifying.
Even if you don't, yeah.
That did not need clarified, but thank you.
If you missed, I just want to make sure anybody listening, if you missed that episode of Sincast, I think they mentioned it a few
Chris
times.
Was a psychotic human being. I just want to say.
I think that did become a running gag, but I can't remember for sure.
I think it
so
was.
Just want to clarify that.
It's funny because there is a reference, a really uncomfortable reference in Indiana Jones to the one we're talking about today, where one of the sins is like this needs more explanation.
Yes.
And so it's not one of those situations.
No.
Well,
Anyway.
let's go ahead and get into it. By the way, hope you had a wonderful Christmas. This comes out the last day of the year.
Or Wonderful Friday.
Correct. Yes. Depending on how you celebrate your holidays. But yeah, just as we're looking forward to what we call the new year, we hope it'll be a fun and amazing one for you.
I don't know why I said that, though. That sounded so like...
No, you're right. You're totally right,
But people know what you mean.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Whatever you have celebrated, we are glad that we are heading into a new year together, and let's get into the show. Let's do the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week and our process of sending them, how we felt about the show movie in general.
The schmovie.
The schmusic video, the schmovic video.
Visual content.
There you go. We are finishing off The Mandalorian with the last 3 episodes right in a row. So we've got the penultimate episode and the penultimate episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian to talk about today. We'll kick it off with The Tragedy. This was a Dicer Share script, Barrett and I writing on this one. And this is the episode where Grogu gets kidnapped. And E.T. phones
You knew it was coming.
And then they take him away.
Finally, it arrives.
I feel like this is the episode that launches the final 3 episodes into kind of the season finale, vibe. Like this is where we're like, okay, side quests have paused. We're going on, the Grogu kidnapping journey now for the last 3 episodes.
You get Boba comes in finally. He was teased.
Yeah.
And then you get the return of Fennec. Mm-hmm. Is it Fennec?
I believe so. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I really like Ming-Na Wen, and I'm glad to see that, because she was always really good when I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I hated how she was used on that show, and that show wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see her in this role, and I just got to say, cannot believe she's 57 years old. I want to know what she's doing.
Well, she has abs of steel, so it is impressive.
That's true.
Yeah. Her and J-Lo are just, they're rocking some sort of workout together.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I stopped watching season 1 of Mandalorian after I think 3, maybe 4 episodes.
Right,
and so when we kicked off this new season and we're doing this InstaSin series, I went back and just sort of did like quick catch me up recaps. So I have no memory of this person.
Right.
And because she hasn't really made an appearance in season 2 until now, I was like, I'm kind of shrugging like, okay, who's this?
No, I agree.
Glad you're telling me that she was somebody at some point in time, because I definitely wasn't remembering.
As much as we make fun of the previously ons, I appreciate it this time because I wouldn't have remembered who she was.
Yeah.
She's barely in that. She's only in, you don't see her till the end of the episode, and then you think she gets killed, and or maybe she does, and I whatever. But and then you just see somebody come up and save her, which I'm really curious if they always planned on that being him, or if that's just something they did, and they probably did, but I don't know. You hear these weird stories about people doing cliffhangers, and they have no idea how they're gonna resolve it.
Oh no! As a dungeon master for a game, I can confirm that is my every week. Okay, I got to figure out how this is gonna resolve itself.
Well, that's my favorite thing about, was it Best of Both Worlds, the Next Generation episode, where it ends on the one of the most famous cliffhangers, where Captain Picard is a Borg,
right?
And that was the season finale, and they had no clue what they were going to do after that.
Yes. Well, no, I remember. I can't remember what show it is. My brain thinks it's a Lindelof show, not Lost, but one of the couple after that. But I actually don't know that it is. But I remember a showrunner talking about purposefully writing themselves into corners, purposefully, writing them to places they're going to have to get super creative to get out of, because that's where some of the genius comes from, and some fresh ideas can come from that. So yeah, it's definitely something that they do.
And it's a work thing too, because I mean, your writers are only hired for that season maybe. So once they're done writing, they're not going to write anything else unless you pay them. So it kind of comes down to but if you watch the second part of Best of Both Worlds, you can tell they had no idea what they were going to do.
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Excellent.
I, for one, really enjoyed this episode. In fact, I'm on record, obviously, as really enjoying this season, and I think it finishes out really strong. As you're hearing this, all of these are available to you. Before recording, we just launched the final episode onto the YouTube channel. So that one will have some fun stuff to talk about next week, but let's talk about the videos from this week. What were some of your favorite sins from this video? Danae, why don't you kick us off?
I liked how we continue on with our Grogu sinning, but in this case we referenced how we basically saved the Sonic movie. Because it's true. In that case of the Sonic movie, the people having a voice, but for whatever reason that just genuinely cracked me up. You can maybe drop him where he stands, but she's technically already on the ground. So really the best you can do is slump her where she lays.
It's true, though. It's true.
It is true. However, the verbiage on that one was just like, it's... Anyway, slumping somebody. You look like you've just seen a ghost, and then pointing out that helmets would hide completely.
Right. Yeah. How do you know what he looks like?
Expression.
Yeah.
No, I didn't catch that when watching it. You just kind of accept these phrases as everyday conversation, but it literally makes no sense.
I will say though, I don't know if it's just we just get that he's probably perturbed, but you can actually tell, like, when you're watching it. I don't know. It's weird.
Projection. It's all projection.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
But it's a reminder that we could be wrong when we project that on him.
That's my number one thing that I find to be most fascinating about this show, and I've talked about it I think even just last week, so I won't spend too much time on this again, but just the idea that it literally is our interpretation individually every single episode of whatever Mandalorian could be possibly
I don't even
emoting.
know, and we don't even know when the actor is actually under that helmet.
No.
So it's definitely not the performance.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. So those are the ones I pointed out. I think maybe I had one more. The abs of steel for Boba Fett.
And this is that was hilarious. This is Hugh's share. I don't know if you said that or not. I can't remember.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did. Never mind.
Dicer
Ignore
share.
me.
Dicer share, but yeah.
Oh,
is it Dicer share?
Yeah, this was me and Barrett. Yeah.
But Danae shattered it because this was one of the first ones. This was the only one I think that I haven't been involved. Maybe it's the first one in a while I haven't been involved with on any level, because I remember watching the video today and I was like, I have not seen this.
That abs of steel line was a combo, which is always interesting when that happens, because I think Barrett's sin was just abs of steel, which is hilarious. And then my sin was you named your metal parts Boba Fett, which, just is like misunderstanding what the saying was. So we just kind of combined it. You named your abs of steel Boba Fett to get them both in. So
that's great.
Yeah. What about you, Jonathan?
When do we actually reach the limit? Is it soon? It made me laugh. I always thought bounty hunters would be a lot savvier.
Yeah.
And then the whole the Benny Hill music, which I don't know what that's actually called.
Yakety Sax. Yakety Sax is the name of the song. Yeah.
Playing that over the stormtroopers was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I loved the no service, like fan service jingle very much. And then I did want to mention on the outtakes, I love the Stripes outtake, mainly because that is one of my wife's all-time favorite scenes in a movie. So it was just really nice seeing that, even though I know Barrett or you didn't know that, but it was still just kind of, I showed her, I was like, hey, check this out.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention, that's definitely the correct Applebee's. That made me giggle quite a bit. The Boba Fett rhyming, finishing with when he plays his guitar for you, does he use all the Boba frets? Made me laugh. And then the dim droids. I had to mention the dim droids.
Yeah, which it's really, once again, mentioning that I hadn't worked on this when I didn't know that we eventually call back. I didn't get that. I didn't know that's what that was.
Ah, yes.
Which
yes.
I guess that's next week, right? I think
It's
It is.
fine.
It's fine.
It's
It's
fine.
coming up soon. But again, it'll be out by the time people are hearing
the dim
this.
droids
anyway.
come back.
They do.
Yes, they do. Dim
With a
droids
vengeance.
persistently come back. It's just something that happens. All right, let's move on to Mandalorian The Believer, where we finally see Mando's face for the first time.
Believer. Sorry.
Yeah, and then we saw his face. The title's
Oh,
Believer.
You know,
He's
I
a
didn't even think about
mustache.
that when I said that. That's hilarious.
I think I did that in the description for the video on YouTube.
Which, by the way, I can't wait to talk about this. But there's an upcoming video. It'll be out I think it's coming out this week, and we'll talk about it next week. But I guess I'll talk about it more then. But Aaron in a note said "nice" on a pun I made that I didn't realize I'd made.
Yay!
Good. I can't wait. I really can't wait. What about this one? I don't know if there's anything specifically to talk about this episode.
I wrote
than,
on this one, right?
Yes. Yes. This is a Cher Watkins script.
What
Okay.
day is it?
Yeah.
This is Bill Burr. Bill Burr's back.
Bill Burr is back. I actually love him in this episode.
too.
I'm pretty much a Bill Burr fan. I like the guy.
I'm excited. I never would have thought. I mean, I've been watching his stand up for a while, but over the last year or so, just the stuff he's been popping up in, he's been great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I understand. I watched this one and I was confused as to why he was important, and then watching the Sins video, it's pointed out again. I guess I just don't understand. I guess because he used to be a stormtrooper, maybe he has like some inside.
Oh, you're saying you didn't understand why the character was important to this story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's really not. He's really not.
they were just bringing him back.
Yeah,
I
they're
guess
just
he was
bringing him back because they like him.
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like a show that has a cameo just to have a cameo.
Yeah.
I don't think it suffered because of it, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite episode because I don't know what happened this
I
episode
agree.
that was really powerful.
It
You know,
does
it
feel
was
a little bit like filler. It really does.
yeah.
Yeah,
It might have been my least favorite episode of the season. With that being said, I mean, I've enjoyed every episode for the most part. So
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it is the things that Bill Burr and Mando talk about, and the realization and him coming to the understanding of having to break his long-held like core beliefs.
That's true.
Because
That's
of what
true.
he feels is right. Like
Right.
that part of it makes it a good episode for me, even though like the progress of the episode and the plot doesn't really matter that
and it had
much.
been, I mean, I didn't go back and rewatch the episode from the first season he was on, but the thing that kind of bugged me, and we talk about it a little bit when he shows a little bit of concern for Grogu, but I had a couple other things in there I took out because he was pissed at me. Like, he did not like Mando at all, like from the
Right.
get-go. And then Mando gets him incarcerated. So
Right.
and I guess he was just glad to be out. He was curious what was going on and stuff. But some of that it felt it was rushed because they had other things to do. So they were just like, you know what, we're just gonna have them get along.
It is interesting to point out that if there was a character to talk to Mando about breaking tradition or breaking the rules that you are raised around to find your individuality in the moments that matter, coming from a stormtrooper, that is a pretty powerful thing. I guess maybe I missed that because I was so wrapped up in the adventure. I mean, it should be very significant that he shows his face.
It is.
And I
It's
guess
a significant moment.
I was really shocked by that. But what was distracting to me is like, how did his face work on this machine? I was thinking about
yeah,
that
it's dumb.
more than I was thinking about what he was doing to show his face.
Barrett and I said something to Barrett. I was like, I have a feeling that this is going to come back. Like, we're going to find out something about Mando that scene makes sense.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
That's just a theory. I mean, it
Yeah.
could very well just be, we need this to work, so this is what we're going to do.
I hope
so I could
not.
be wrong. But
I
mean,
hope not.
regardless, in this moment, we had to send it.
Yeah.
Well, and now that the series is over, and spoiler alert, he's the king of the Mandalorians now. So
Yeah.
there's a
Which, have you seen Chronicles of Riddick,
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yeah.
That felt that's like the one really cool thing about Chronicles of Riddick is the end where whether or not Vin Diesel wants to, he kind of becomes like the king.
Yeah.
Although they decide to retcon that in the next one, but I love that. And that's what this reminded me of. That's all I was going to say.
There will be more. You're right, and maybe I do hope that they kind of like put a little bit of a wink back to that moment of his face being scanned.
Yeah,
but
and we'll send it again. By the way,
it's also interesting because he revealed it to another person, and the moment whenever, again, spoiler alert for the finale. He reveals his face in the finale. Like that moment was to me really powerful.
It was, yeah, very.
Did this steal away from that moment a little bit? And I can't decide if it did or not. It kind of.
I think you kind of need this moment to get to that moment. I think
also he's definitely showing in that moment in this episode that Grogu means more to him than
Because he shows it in front of everyone.
The first moment is necessity. The second moment isn't necessity; it's emotion.
Right, it's a choice.
Right,
that's true.
So the necessity moment had to come first for us to believe how hard this really was for him. But in order to get Grogu back, he had to do it. So it was necessity.
But they are going to have to figure out. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do moving forward, but I feel like either moving forward that has to become more common, or he just needs to keep that helmet on, because eventually it's going to be like, why does Batman keep taking his mask off in front of him?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
One of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't mind the episode overall, but it was one where I was like, that's interesting. I wonder let's wrap this up.
What about the video, Danae? What are some of the things from the video?
Talking about Boba Fett getting a glow up cracked me up. Mm-hmm. Mostly because I don't usually think about you guys knowing about glow ups, but also, what an interesting thing to point out about the armor having gotten some seriously sweet treatment. Mm-hmm. And it's again something I didn't notice. I also didn't notice the rocket being replaced on his back. I thought that was a really smart thing to point out.
That drove me crazy, and I couldn't figure that out in the Raylan Givens episode. That's not his name. I can't think of the character's name, but the Timothy Olyphant episode, which we kind of send that then too, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how you people wear those things. That's racist. And then by you people, I mean Mandalorians, and saying still racist was just a funny play on that sin. The manscaping the lip rug was disturbing and wonderfully pointed out. And then letting your enemies know you're coming for them cliche, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, you basically just went through the exact ones that I had noted as well. Especially the well, especially that mustache one. The idea of that he has a mustache under a helmet he never takes off is just, when you start to think about it, the weirdest thing ever. Why would you ever shave? And if you did, why would you leave a mustache? There's something very narcissistic about that, right? If you are manscaping your face and you're the only one that ever sees your face, it's like, I think I look good in a mustache. It's a very
It's just for you.
It's just for you. Which is how it should be, honestly. Yeah. That's absolutely how it should be, but it's not. It's just not necessarily how we think of things. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was really good. The only one that you didn't mention that I did have down was, I just realized they've been spelling Star Trek wrong this whole time, which for whatever reason just made me laugh quite a bit. I love that.
We had made a couple of sins about the Star Wars. I think, and the last one was something like, really? This is Star Wars? And so I was just trying to think of, I don't know, that just
how to play on that a little bit.
No, it was great. I really, really loved it. What other ones did you want to mention, Jonathan?
The only other one I'll mention is the pointing out that why would a vehicle have wheels in this universe?
Such an important distinction,
especially if you're transporting,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will, because I didn't use a comment from this, because I was saying, I made a joke that I didn't look at the Star Wars comments, but this is the only one I wrote on this week, so I decided to do it, and I regretted it immediately. So a couple things. I know they're not pirates. That was the whole point of the goddamn sin, was that they're not pirates.
This is the Jonathan Gets Defensive section of the podcast.
But they get called pirates by characters.
Yes, they are.
It's like we're sitting exactly what you're complaining about. And it's crazy. Yeah. What was we had somebody mention the what were we just talking about, the
mustache?
Oh no, the Boba Fett. They were like, well, of course he painted it. Why? What's the sin? He painted it.
He painted it, you guys.
It's that special dent removal paint. that takes gashes out of metal.
It does remind you, like, we really have no concept of how many weeks pass between episode to episode.
Yeah.
And that's a sin on the show.
Yeah, no concept of time.
And then somebody else mentioned that they didn't think Miggs was afraid he'd get recognized. He was afraid that the guy would kill him. He actually says specifically that he doesn't want to get recognized. So I felt pretty confident about that one.
Feeling good about my defense on that one. Very well done. I am so loving these Mandalorians. I'm kind of sad that we only have one more to go, but boy, is it a doozy, and we will talk about it next week.
We might have a fun Insta-Sin around the corner.
Hey,
you know,
listen, we're loving Insta-Sin and stuff, so yeah, there might be.
And Disney Plus is determined to keep us in business.
They sure are. Let's move on to music video sins. Oh, Santa is the name of the song.
Oh, how did those breasts stay like that? Is what this song should have been called.
It is a primarily
Tape,
a Mariah Carey song.
Man, they were like perfect circles. Like it was impressive. Whatever was going on there.
Listen, however long we want to dedicate to the Jonathan being amazed by boobs section of the podcast, I'm all game. Like, guys, they were like globes. Have you ever seen these things? They're amazing.
Mariah Carey is a beautiful woman.
Boobs.
Mariah Carey's at the center, and then you've got Jennifer Hudson and Ariana Grande joining her on this song as well. And so, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the song itself. Let's
start off with what Baird had to say about it.
Sure,
he
yeah.
said, Mando is rad and Santa is bad. That's it.
that's all he had to say.
Mando is rad. Oh, Santa is bad. That was his whole comment for this week's show.
Very nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did not help him with this one. So, but I do remember at one point he said something about like he was trying to find stuff to send except for boobs, but it's okay to just send boobs, is what he said. So
yeah, that's sin about the. At this point, I wonder I clinically wonder what kind of infrastructure they have in Mariah's outfit to keep her boobs from coming completely unleashed. Like, is there a rebar under there? Steel mesh?
What kind of tape are you talking about? Because I don't
Boob
think
tape,
like
man.
a little Scotch tape's gonna.
It's powerful
help.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've heard it really hurts coming off. I've never
I can't
tried
even
it.
imagine.
You're talking about the double-sided skin tape kind of idea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that's all it is.
Yeah, the bodice is designed to press them into the round shape, and then they are stuck in place with tape, and also a lot of surgery.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know that I like Mariah's. My wife's a huge Mariah fan, so I've listened to a lot of her music. I'm not a huge Christmas music fan though. Just in general, I don't have anything against it. It just never really appeals to me. So this kind of fell. And this definitely wasn't anywhere near. I mean, if I'm gonna pick a Christmas song, I mean, God, what is that song called that she did? That's like the most popular one now.
All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah, All I Want for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's a fun one, I guess. This is nowhere near that level, in my opinion.
It takes time,
but I like all three people involved.
It's hard to know with Christmas songs, because it takes years, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's just a staple, and it's just weird how that happens.
I feel like I hadn't seen Jennifer Hudson in a while, so that was cool to see her on a track. And
it's great.
I love her.
Yeah,
and
I love her.
She's always been one of my favorite. When I watched American Idol, she's always been one of my favorite American Idol contestants.
Yeah.
And then obviously Ariana, love her. But I don't know. This song just didn't really do it for me.
Yeah, we can go into the sins themselves. I loved the look. If there's a way to magically point and Jennifer Hudson would materialize into your room, don't you think I would have cracked that code by now? That one really made me laugh. Is it a Snowpiercer-like engine that if it stops, we all freeze and die? Just the rant about the clock was so good. Cool. It's that time in the song where all three of them just make nonsensical noises and try to out-sing each other.
I loved that part.
I thought we were past this after the Great Lady Marmalade experiment of 2001. I thought that was great. What about you, Jonathan?
Well, going off that clock thing, I just loved the way Barrett said, do not take a step backward with that ponytail. Like the way he said it was hilarious. Stalking, just the very simple sin of stalking. Was very funny. Well, and that's the thing, right? Because when you think about this song, and I think he even makes a sin later about like, this poor elf over here is just trying to get his job done while these other elves are listening to the song about a man that may or may not get secretly kidnapped. because that is kind of what the song's about, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I could probably use this later tonight was really funny.
He's so horny all the time. He's our horniest narrator, hands down.
For sure.
Narrator, quote unquote. He's the horniest, quote unquote, narrator. Yes, sure. Yes, exactly.
It's all fictional.
Well, I guess if you're watching a whole bunch of music videos all the time, it makes sense that this narrator would be the horniest on the team.
True. Did you really need to use 4 boxes for Ari's reveal? I thought was really funny.
Yeah. What about you, Danae?
You mentioned the clock, but the previous clock one where he kind of goes off on the magic mystery clock, how it works and everything. And you mentioned Snowpiercer. That whole one was just starting off with how the gears are turning. Like, this is how I get into a crazy sin. It's like, look at all these gears. And then, of course, you can't stop looking at it afterwards. So that was fun. Ariana's lip gloss becoming so shiny is frequently used to flag down airplanes in hazardous conditions. I enjoyed. And then, oh no, Mariah's got the mic off the stand. You know what this is about, which you already kind of mentioned. So you guys literally mentioned almost everyone that I liked.
Nice.
So.
Well, we can move into CinemaSins then. We'll start it off with Raiders of the Lost Ark. This was the OGs, Atkinson Scott. Jeremy and Chris taking on one of the OG movies, Raiders, one of the favorites of many, many people. So, of course, there are many of the how dare you comments, and we totally understand.
Sure. But there's also the ones that are like, thank you for doing this, like where you're honoring the movie, but you're also sinning it.
And I know this is, Chris loves this movie. I think Jeremy does too.
He didn't really give an indication of his love of it in his comments on the movie. I guess we can start there.
Sure.
He says, I don't know. Jeremy says Raiders is great, but turns out it has flaws like icky relationship age differences, booby traps that make no sense, and Indy's buddy being allowed to wander free amongst the Nazi camp for roughly 20 minutes of the movie. And then Chris said, Raiders is for me the best Indiana Jones movies. I know a lot of people hold Last Crusade in high regard, but Raiders is my favorite.
I didn't know when he said that. I was like, really?
I think maybe just people. I know I do. Last Crusade is my favorite.
I like Last Crusade, but this is one where I thought consensus, Raiders was pretty much what consensually is considered the best one.
My instinct is that Raiders is a critical consensus, best of the three, and that Last Crusade is more of a fan consensus, like most fun of the three. So that's my instinct.
To interrupt you,
I don't know.
That's okay. You technically just interrupted Chris. He goes on to say, sinning a movie like this means 2 things. You're going to enjoy the job because the movie is great, but you're also slightly going to hate yourself for sinning a classic. All that said, it was surprisingly easy to write sins for this. I super enjoyed deconstructing the entire opening sequence with a series of traps that protect the idol leading up to the whole boulder sequence, that an ancient people had the ability to set up motion sensor technology and a process that makes the traps go back into place after they get used. One of my favorite sins to write was pointing out the all-time blunder where Indy pushes a heavy stone and we can see the shadow of it bounce. A movie mistake that has been pointed out millions of times, but now with our shot at pointing it out, we take a self-aware and trolly approach where it's like, yeah, we know that's there. We don't have to point it out, but here it is because you want it and it can't be complete without it.
Yeah.
The machinations of the Ark are also pretty mindless. This is apparently a weapon that was used in biblical times as long as you don't look at the angel who turns into a demon for no reason. If you do that, you're spared. Indy even comes up with this defense out of nowhere when he and Marion are tied up. Absolutely nothing told him to do that, but it was the right choice. I also loved pointing out that they had no chance of getting off that island once the archangels killed everybody. Not the archangels, the archangels.
2 different things. Different things.
They got there by submarine. I guess we're supposed to believe there were some Germans left over who would gladly take them wherever they needed to go, or they sneaked on the boat, or Indy knows how to command a submarine all by himself.
It's cell phones. They had cell phones. I'm sure.
That makes sense.
Chris just forgets about cell phones. Little GPS. Never hurt anyone. I don't have much to say about this movie that hasn't already been said. The Indiana Jones movies are so much fun. Like I said, I like The Last Crusade best, but Raiders is a very close second. And yeah, it's good stuff. This is a really fun movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is my favorite of the series by far. I like Last Crusade a lot. I love Temple of Doom. But I just prefer this one for a lot. This would probably be like in my top 25 of all time, I think.
I think I watched Last Crusade first. So that might be part of it too.
I get that too. No, I saw this in the theater. My mom took me to see this. I was 5. I still remember. That's one of the first movies I really remember seeing. I remember the monkey dying really upset me.
Yeah.
And I'm almost positive my fear of spiders and snakes came from this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. But I really enjoyed it. I can still just that opening scene. And I really like these quest stories.
Yeah.
They don't always, because I even like a lot of there was a lot of Raiders knockoffs. I mean, I guess like even Romancing the Stone.
I was just going to say Romancing the Stone, yeah.
Which that's a great example. But there were a lot of like cheap knockoffs that even to this day I still enjoy watching just because I like this. You got to go find the stone.
Tomb Raider or, there's always going to be...
I do not like Tomb Raider.
The archaeology. The new one wasn't that bad. Did you hate the new one?
Oh, no. I apologize. I actually quite liked the new one.
Yeah.
I didn't like the
Angelina Jolie ones.
Yeah, I didn't like either one, which we sent both of those.
We did. Indeed.
So those are pretty recent. I've watched. No, but I like the quest. I like the puzzles and the mysteries and... you got to go find this amulet or whatever. Even though I don't really care for the movies, like the Da Vinci Code and stuff are kind of in that same
National Treasure.
Yeah, National Treasure.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, I love this movie. It's great. But I don't know what to say that millions of other people have already said before me.
Very curious, Danae, what your experience with the Indiana Jones movies is.
So I think so we were not movie theater people. We were watched on television when it comes to television people.
Right.
So I don't remember when I watched this for the first time.
This was on television a lot.
And that's the thing.
And that's where I saw it too. So
I think whenever I saw it was on television. But my parents would not really let us watch stuff like this unless they had seen it. Mm-hmm. Or if I was watching it, I was of an age where they could kind of tell when things are going to get intense and they would tell us, look away. And so, I only remember parts of this one. It's now just part of culture so much. I don't remember what I've seen and what I've not seen. But watching the Sins video was the first time I watched the face melt because every time it's ever been, I just always look away. Like I was told when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird things where I'm like, oh, that's terrifying. And also... like candle waxy, and now it's more. I think about the show Face Off, where they're going into the sci-fi makeup of it all. Just curious how they would have created that.
It's I was gonna say because it's
perspective.
That's a practical effect too, because it's 1981. So I mean, and that makes it so much creepier. I think now they would just CGI it, and it would probably still be weird, but I don't think it would be nearly as effective.
They would never do that in a modern PG-13 movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like they would.
A face
Raiders
melt?
is PG, by the way.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I think it would be.
It would be PG-13 now.
Yeah, it would be a different version of that where,
Yeah. Because you think it's like that. There was a lot of face stuff going on back then because you also had like in Poltergeist, the guy, his face rots away from the maggots. And
I was. It kind of
it was traumatic. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like,
a little bit of Beetlejuicy, where it's a little claymation looking, where
Beetlejuicy, gross.
Yeah, gross. But anyway, I watching the Sins video, I was like, oh, look how young our lead is, and I don't know, it just made me smile, but I don't know why because I don't remember much of it. So
yeah, cool.
Anyway, yep.
Well, let's get into the sins themselves. Who wants to start us off?
I will.
Okay.
The completely illegible map is completely illegible, and then pointing out that it was a McDonald's napkin. What a terrible map. Truly.
Yeah.
All the booby trap stuff. I super enjoyed that. The not drawing on your eyelids sin, that if you put that, it'll leak into your eyes. Also love notes on your eyes. Also who wrote that on the eyes was really hilarious. I don't remember any of that from the movie.
Did you see in the comments someone was like, people who wear eyeliner And then it gave like the questioning face or whatever. It was like
No, I didn't get that, but it's one of those where if I had seen the script, I would have said, let's use eyeliner instead of mascara.
Yeah.
To point
but
this
it's
out.
interesting when I got older and watched this, I didn't realize like how much of a I don't know. I guess because Bond
Like
was always
heartthrob?
kind of the stereotypical like ladies' man.
Yeah.
But they really went overboard to make like Indiana Jones fuckable.
Well, and it's
in this first movie.
That is a very popular trope too of the hot professor that all the girls want, because the idea you get
But
to
an
college.
archaeology professor?
Yeah, I'm just saying, the trope is there. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh, he's talking about rocks. I am turned on.
Bones. It's the bones.
Bones.
One of my very good friends, Jennifer, is an archaeologist, and so she would be like, yeah, I would.
Fair enough.
That's right.
Fair enough.
The mention of I was a child and I was in love and you were wrong. This needs a lot more explanation than it gets.
Which is none. It doesn't
That's
give any
cool. You have a
explanation.
friend that's an archaeologist, by the way, to go back to that. That's neat.
Oh my God. So she's in my D&D campaign and she plays she plays the game in a very fascinating way because she approaches things from her brain and like her style. Yeah, she's an archaeologist.
That's so cool.
So there's entire weeks at a time where she's literally out in the field doing dig work and stuff.
That's awesome.
She's pretty cool. Anyway, the never-ending snake brigade down in the room that's been sealed for 1,000 years.
Right.
There must be so much food and oxygen down there, and it's only natural that snakes are crawling all over each other to get their share of plentiful resources that must be down there. As that scene just kept going on, I was like, oh my God. It really helped to make that terrifying moment hilarious. And I think that's one of the reasons I love that one so much because that is one of the things I do remember watching and being horrified by. And then the sin about the dude has a lit torch between his chin and shoulder while he's rope climbing. And if the movie isn't going to act like it's cool, at least I will. I mean, it's impossible too, which is why I'm sinning it, but it's still cool.
Yeah.
So those were some of the ones I pointed out.
That snake scene's interesting because it's so well done. But the one thing about the sequels, at least, even in the later one, they did it with the ants. They always tried to like recapture that.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't just leave it alone.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Jonathan, what about you? What were some that you had?
I was really happy they took. I'm not surprised they did, but I was really happy they took Sins off for that stunt scene because that is. I even think to this day, as many great stunt scenes that we've seen, that's still that might be my favorite.
Well, it's interesting because I just watched Stagecoach, which is 1939, John Wayne.
I've seen Stagecoach.
It's said to pretty much have invented the American Western.
Yeah.
And so I watched it because it was a classic. And there is a chase scene in that with some stunts where I'm just like, people had to die. Like, that's the thing about you watch some of those movies from the 30s and you're just like, there's one, and this reminded me of it in that scene because Indy goes under the, whatever it is that he's under and he kind of goes out the back. Yeah. There's a scene in Stagecoach where somebody falls between the horses and there's like, 4 sets of horses and the horses go right over him and then the stagecoach goes right over him. And you can tell at the end it's a real person because of the way they're moving and they stand up. And of course it's all practical then. And I'm just like, the person could have died in 5 different ways, like that did that stunt.
It's crazy.
It's like that would be illegal now to have a stunt person do that kind of thing, but they'd have to figure out a fancy way to do it.
I mean, they still set themselves on fire and stuff though.
Yeah.
I mean, they still do a lot of crazy stuff. Because that was the one thing when Jackie Chan came over here, he didn't like as much because they wouldn't let him do as They wouldn't let him do as much stuff.
It's another great example. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just always that scene. I mean, I remember as a kid, that scene just excited me so much because it was just so cool. Just him going under the car, coming back, it was just everything about that. And it's so well shot. I did not know that Spielberg was paying homage to stunt people though. So that was an interesting thing that I'd never heard before.
Yeah.
So that's real good. And we also took Sins off for the amazing scene, the great scene where he pulls the gun on the guy, which is just that's
but I like how that awesome. Sin was given off where it's like we all know at this point in time that was an improv situation. We all know it's epic. Let's not we don't have to talk about it. We can just give it a sin off and move on.
Cool. Yeah. And then someone saw the Brady Bunch Hawaiian 2-part special. Thought that was really funny. They did not factor in the speed of a man as he runs across the poison dart lobby.
I loved that one.
I don't know how to not mention all these blowers and no one was able to land a climax. I mean, a kill shot. Oh, and the hand jobbers. I mean, archers are terrible too.
Yeah.
That was very Darude of that sandstorm. And did we talk about this needs a lot more explaining than it gets? I know Danae.
Yeah, Danae mentioned that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed that.
No,
somehow.
you're good.
It is so cinnable. We should mention it as much as we possibly
possible.
freaking
It
can.
is. It's weird. That's one thing I love about these. I love working on these movies. I didn't work on this one, but watching it or working on the movies that I love, I find a lot of fun because you catch these things that you're just like, that's so weird. And I'm sure they meant nothing by it. I'm sure it was just one of those things. Just nobody thought about it, right?
Well,
okay.
I do think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a time thing. I think I don't think she means she was an actual child. I think she means she was very young. But but it
it's
deserves.
But how young is she? But how long ago was
for
that?
her to
How
say
old is she supposed to be right then?
Right.
Yeah. It does need more explanation, although it needs more explanation in 2020. And did it then? Probably not. I think people would just make assumptions that maybe she was a teenager or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
18 or something.
And I don't know how much, I don't know how different they're supposed to be in age. So it could have just been he broke her heart. She was 18 and he was 21 or whatever.
They were both legal. That's what we're hoping for. And they're just saying that they were very childish.
I definitely don't take it that she actually meant she was a child.
Right, yeah.
Let's hope so. And then just I won't be needing this anymore. Those always just absolutely kill me.
Nice.
Yeah, me too.
The running gag of the different movies that Alfred Molina has been in, Magnolia's Alfred Molina, etc. Really enjoyed that. Honestly, if avoiding these brown vagina tiles is all it takes to not trigger the booby trap, then this all seems pretty easy. So true. So true. Gun, whip, leather jacket. He's all packed. Let's go to the airport. Let's go right now. This is just so well written. I like that very much. And then the damsel in distress I had to mention. Obviously, I'm going to love that. Never set living snakes on fire. That's one of my life rules. Made me laugh. I don't mean to sin fun, but I just sin fun. And the way Jeremy says it is just like he's so disappointed in himself, and it just made me laugh quite a bit. Indiana Jones now knows there's proof of God. I mean, he won't be able to make anyone believe him, but it's a bit surprising he doesn't change his life in a meaningful way. What a great and interesting thing to think about. He now has, firsthand proof of the supernatural, and yet it's not something that is at least indicated to have, messed with his worldview in any way.
Temple of Doom, I think, takes place before this.
Correct.
Isn't there some supernatural in that too?
Oh, yeah. There's I remember that one, eating hearts and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they eat monkey brains.
But is there anything in that? That's definitive proof of the supernatural?
That's what I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. I mean, he's got the thing where, they go in. I thought they go in and pull out somebody's heart.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not supernatural.
There's trance stuff too. Yeah. I don't remember specifically.
It's very voodoo-y.
Yeah. But I don't think it's as obvious as this is with that kind of stuff. So,
and then Last Crusade, he goes and gets, the Grail, but that's obviously after this. So.
Right. Yeah, no, I really liked it. I thought it was amazing, as I did think about the other one as well, The Grinch. This is such a fun video. This was an Atkinson Hughes script. Chris and Danae writing on this one.
Oh, you meant the video was fun. I was very confused for a second. Okay, keep going.
Well, Did Chris have any words on The Grinch?
Yeah. He said the animated Grinch movie is pretty terrible. I was under the impression before this movie came out that it was a prequel of some sort, but no, it's just an extended Grinch story with some changes here and there. My favorite thing to pick on was how Grinch lives in this multi-story mountain home with multiple heavy pieces of furniture all around. How any of that got up to the mountain is a mystery. It's not supposed to be anything you should be concerned about, but welcome to CinemaSins. The subplot involves the reindeer Fred. The subplot involving the reindeer Fred was a total waste of time. It made no sense at all. Grinch wants a reindeer, so he finds a herd of them, and nearly all of them get scared off by an asshole goat. A heavy reindeer named Fred is all that's left. He seems pretty excited to go home with Grinch, despite the fact that later we find out he's got a wife and a kid he really loves. And why did he go back to the Grinch's mountain if that's the case? All of that happens just so the movie can get the Grinch's dog Max pulling the sleigh like the classic cartoon did. And of course, Fred shows up in an ex machina fashion after being removed from the story. I'm also super cynical about the Whoville depicted in this movie. In the original, it makes some certain sense that the Whos don't need presents to celebrate Christmas. In this movie, the Whos are Whoers about Christmas. It is impossible that this Whoville wouldn't have multiple people screaming about their presents being stolen, and the whole idea that they have zero curiosity about who could have robbed the whole town in one night just goes against basic common sense. Hats off to Danae. Sometimes I'll insert my own kudos. I just want to state for the record.
This is an actual one that Chris actually wrote.
Hats off to Danae for writing the wonderful Mr. Bicklebrom's House Sin with all the impossible architecture. Those sins, done rapid fire with tons of arrows, always work well when they are built properly for narration and editing to let them shine.
It's really weird. I have Chris's Slack thread right in front of me, and that's not.
I don't
on
see
there,
that part. I don't see that part at all.
No, it was definitely there.
That took me an hour to write. Shut up.
The Who thing is interesting with me, because I think with the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Whos are fine, but with the Jim Carrey one, which I really don't like, and I like this one a little more than that, but I don't like either one of them. But they make the Whos so irritating that you almost kind of side with the Grinch.
I super side with the Grinch.
Yeah.
There are some things that Chris is mentioning here that I am 100% on with. I don't know that I think the movie is pretty terrible, but because I feel like the Grinch was depicted as a normal dude that's just annoyed with the people of Whoville, and I can relate to that. And he does have a big heart, and I know that there's a sin kind of referencing this, which is it's not a stretch. Maybe what's wrong with this movie is it's not a stretch for us to be confused why the Grinch would be a negative guy that struggles. He just seems to be like a normal guy. He's super sweet to Max. I love the Max relationship. There's even a moment whenever he gets mad at Max for playing the drums, and then Max goes away and pouts, and then the Grinch comes up and immediately apologizes to him. It's an immediate resolution. And you can tell he's got a heart. It's just a small one, apparently, compared to the other people who haunt him in the streets, West Side Story style. It is no wonder. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I forgot about that orphanage. It's
what a weird
God
thing.
God damn it. It's like
in this. Yeah.
Right behind him are all these people having fun. He's stuck in this. I'd be pissed too.
It's such an out of place decision because Whoville is the whole town is centered around all inclusivity and joy and all this stuff. And then you have this dark corner where there's just one forgotten person. I just find that impossible to believe. And so as far as the movie is concerned, I don't love it. For a lot of reasons, but for the simplistic storytelling for my child, for my kid, I don't mind her watching this movie because
no.
It's fun.
And my daughter likes it.
Yeah, it's fun and silly, and I think the animation looks really clever, but it's so cynical. It's hands down my favorite thing to have written on to date. I loved this script. I loved the process with Chris. I felt really proud of myself. Nice. I have 25 sins that I'm if I'm talking about them, here's the ones I hope we talk about the most because there's so much about it that I just had a really, really good time on this one. This is one where my sin brain was singing, so to speak.
Can I just say, we've had this conversation before. I don't mind remakes and reboots and stuff, but this, I don't know, this one more than a one in a while, it felt so pointless. I just don't know what they were doing with it other than they were trying to.
It covers the same ground as the Jim Carrey one. It's basically the same exact plot.
But also I think Illumination and I just don't connect. There's a couple of their movies, the first Despicable Me, maybe the Lorax. I mean, those are okay. But considering the Lorax is actually pretty decent, and that's, Dr. Seuss material. This one didn't hit me either because of that.
It seems like maybe it's we have this new technology. Let's redo it with this new technology. I will say I didn't necessarily even enjoy Benedict Cumberbatch's vocal performance.
Yeah.
I really didn't feel like he sounded to me very Grinchy. And I don't know. I had a hard time kind of getting into that. There were other things I really liked. And even sometimes in the comments, people pointing out things that I thought that were kind of fun that other people thought were annoying. I liked the new Grinch song. I thought that was kind of fun. with the kids singing in the background.
But I agree with you. It's not terrible. I don't know. It's just kind of one of those movies I'm never going to really, I guess, get.
Well, I think it's terrible because he never says penwings. There are no.
He does not say penwing at all.
Penwings in the movie.
God, that's still one of the best things. And he was in a movie he was in the Madagascar.
Yeah, the penwings of Madagascar. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Danae, we'll try to mention some of your 25 so that you don't have 25 to list off.
Oh my God, I really hope I'm not actually going to do that. I am prepared, but.
I'll start, I guess. 8 a.m. until midnight. Who needs bread this many hours of the day?
I had that one. Yeah, that was good.
I love that. Also, I love bread, but there's that.
Did you see the comments? So hilarious.
Yeah.
So people are like, I live in France.
Yes,
this is my life.
This is what
I
we do.
love bread. How
I'm with
dare
Aaron.
you?
I love bread too. We were talking about this. My wife was making fun of me for my love of bread the other day because she jokes that like the main, like the course, whatever it is, lasagna or whatever it is just there so I can have bread.
Garlic
Yeah.
bread, yes, yeah.
That's just mainly that's just there. Like I'll eat that too, so I don't feel like a complete fat ass. But the loaf of bread I'm going to consume.
Bread makes you fat? Sorry, had to do a little Scott Pilgrim. Hey, here you go, kid. Have a wreath, and then the sin is just socialism. That made me giggle quite a bit. And then the observation: so you'd see her in 2 months, not 1, unless the round trip duration is baked in, which it doesn't sound like it is. And you're bad at math, and I hope you die. Okay, you're right. That's too far.
You're right.
I did love that.
That's great. Just wondering why the founders of Whoville felt the need to hyphenate the name of their town is a great observation. Like, why? Is she trying to meet Santa Claus or is she trying to avoid Freddy Krueger? Oh, can it be both? I thought that was really fun. And there seemed to be 2 additional windows and the roof is shaped differently. And that was clearly worth all the time I spent sitting that whole house in. As mentioned before, was just wonderful.
Thank you.
I see the Grinch went to the Red State School of Mask Wearing. Made me laugh quite a bit. If one house doesn't have one, then Kirsten Dunst won't get mad. Just Chris's observation. I assume it was Chris because that's a story from his theater.
100% Chris. Yeah.
I loved hearing that. And then yes, Groupert, it's touching your tiny who weenie. Nobody wants it now. Such a great observation.
The word who weenie is just so funny.
You know what? It is only because that is so hilarious. I'm not as upset that we didn't go with like hoo-ha or something like that, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
kind
that
of
just
idea.
made me think, though, I also don't enjoy my Grinch in tidy whities. That's weird. Super weird.
Super weird.
Because you deserve everything you want and more, and then the sin is she does not. It's so good.
Those are great.
So good. Here, let me take that for you. Too soon, Grinch. Too soon.
I had that one.
That is a really fun one as well. What about you, Jonathan?
I liked how at the beginning we did the usual, like we did Comcast, and then I don't know if we've sent Illumination before. We probably have, but then after both of those, the bunny from Secret Life of Pets.
Yes,
oh no,
just
it
kept
wasn't
going.
Illumination; it was Minions.
Yeah.
And
We
then
also
the
said
bunny.
Apple TV Plus in the music video, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
that's true. Calling the kid that was going to sell his boat a dumb motherfucker, I thought was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Especially the way
I
Jeremy
laughed
read
so
that.
hard. When I saw that one in the script, that was Chris's. And then I was showing, since we were watching The Grinch a lot over Christmas with my daughter, I showed my husband the Sins video, obviously. And he like spit out some of his chocolate chip cookies and milk, whatever. It was right at the top. He's like, "You just called kids a dumb motherfucker." I was like, "Yeah, we did."
One like pointing out like the sadness that kid was gonna have with not being able to sell his boat that day. But he should have known better.
You should have known better.
That's or had a parent that told him. Armchair cardiologist, I thought was great. I don't care if she's a kid; she doesn't get a pass. Disrespecting books and education and birds. And then I just love, does he really need music to push him over the edge? I just thought that was really funny. But
Yeah. Well, hopefully,
Very
other than what
confusing.
Aaron pointed out, that was what I had.
yeah. Hopefully, we pointed out some of them. Danae, what else did you want to make sure you
I still have
mentioned?
18.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just kidding. I don't really have 18. The translation for the bark, where the sin was kind of going into what we've done on TV Sins a lot, which is like when you translate the bark, it reads, you better come and take a look at this cliche. However, the Who's ignore the dog and they ignore the cliche. I've consulted the Sins manual, and the sin bark is countered by ignoring. And we're kind of going into this. And I told Chris, I was like, I'm trying to go somewhere with this where it's funny and silly. And he just said, well, why don't we just stop it right about here and then go, holy shit, how'd the dog get into the house so fast? I was like, oh, that's perfect. And so, but delivered so well by Jeremy. Really enjoyed that. I cracked up super hard. And I think that's one of the reasons this is my favorite script to date, is because when I was reading it, I was laughing so much, especially at Chris's. It's weird. I didn't even question the dog being able to make coffee, but I have so many about the wild reindeer being able to make it.
Right.
Was a funny way to point that out. Okay. The series of sins about Max pulling the sleigh, or the sleigh being autonomous, or why are we working on a reindeer when you could just create a sleigh? All of those I super, super enjoyed. But the go doggy, your master wants to see you struggle was one of my favorites to write, just simply because it just seemed so absolutely useless that the Grinch would need Max at all. I really enjoyed writing the poem for this one. That one was a lot of fun. I actually wrote another one that I was thinking about putting in, but decided we had such a long script I didn't even include it in what I submitted, but it was, and this little children shows the moral within. Believe evil people with wicked green grins. They will guide you through bright streets and leave them pitch black. They will steal all your joy and stuff them in sacks to be thrown from the tops of the mountains of dreams, separated where no one will see your tears stream. Except for the Grinch, who sees quite a lot, though his heart is real small, his eyes are not.
Nice.
That was a horrible thing to include in a movie script, so...
Well, you called a kid dumb motherfucker, so...
Okay, technically that wasn't me, but I definitely approved it. Chris's sin about the Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea, and the sin is you mispronounced was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, it made me think.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, that's a burn. That's a deep burn.
A deep burn.
Yeah.
And I was really, really impressed. I don't know. Writing with Chris sometimes, genuinely makes me a better writer. And we talked about that before. He's got a really great way of pointing things out. I really enjoyed that. There's more, of course, but those are the ones I'll point out.
Nice. Well, very well done.
I have to mention one more.
Okay.
Because this one made me laugh so hard on Chris's script. When the clock changes, he goes, oh, cool. Whoville goes by the Byzantine standard of changing the day when the clock strikes 7 a.m. I laughed so hard. Oh my God.
Lots of laughs
shit.
throughout this one.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about it some more. Let's move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're each going to talk about something from the sin writing process that we found interesting or funny or whatever reason we have for stating it. I really only wrote on The Mandalorian this week, and I didn't really have a lot from that. I guess I looked up some Aurobesh. There was a sin about the language in Star Wars and, why does it look different than English, but everybody, speaks English kind of thing. And of course, the comments were very kind to point out, that it's, the basic tongue and that Aurobesh is the written version. I understand. It's just funny to me. So I had that, but I didn't really have much else.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat because I just worked on Mandalorian. I looked up what pirates are, and I would like to say that I know those aren't pirates. That was why we send it. And I also, I looked up, I Googled how does Mariah Carey keep her boobs and so circular.
Good job.
Yes, of course.
Good job.
Of course, you
I
had to
didn't
Google
find
that.
I found some weird pictures, but no, I didn't really Google that, by the way. But yeah, no, I was kind of in the same boat. I didn't look up too much because
I did remember watching the Indiana Jones one took me back to several years ago when I got picked to be in the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular at
you got
Disney.
picked to do that?
Yeah, so
nice.
that was fun.
My brother-in-law got to do that. I've never been picked.
So yeah, I was taking selfies during the production.
Of course,
because that's just who I am.
I mean, that's you. Have you been to Disneyland?
Yes, I have, but it's been a while.
But you've ridden that Indiana Jones ride?
I don't remember.
That's one of the weirdest rides I've ever been on.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it. It's just it's so bizarre.
Danae, sounds like you're going to have to save us with keeping tabs. Although I do have one more thing I'm going to mention once Danae's done hers. But yeah, go ahead. What do you got this week?
During the Grinch, I was trying to write a sin about pudding because as he's reading the big Christmas book to figure out if he's going how to become Santa and do research on Christmas, which is again ridiculously sinnable, he mentions something about like, why does every holiday have a pudding? And I was like, does every holiday have a pudding? And yeah, so there is something called Halloween pudding. I didn't realize, but there's all kinds of pudding recipes, and I love pudding. So
I do too. What is Halloween pudding?
So it's a chocolate pudding, but it has like sprinkles of brownie on it, so it looks like dirt. And then you can kind of like put things coming out of the dirt, like worms, like candy worms,
like gummy worms or something.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody put like a little.
It's one of my favorites.
What?
The dirt cake
the
idea.
Dirt pudding?
Yeah, the dirt pudding.
It's like a dirt cake.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, so it's delicious looking and a fun way to celebrate. There was also like little pudding cups where you can put like a butterscotch pudding and then like crumbles of chocolate and then more butterscotch on top with two little googly eyes so that from the side, if it's a clear cup, it looks like it's a little creature that's just like eating something.
Neat.
So I got lost in Pudding World for quite a while.
Pudding World.
It was about like 15 minutes had passed, and I'm super hungry. I'm thinking about pudding, and I'm like, I gotta write a script. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then you went and ate.
Yeah. One of the couple other cool things that happened while writing the script was one, the Grinch says something like, for 53 years, I've been such and such and so forth. And I was like, why the mention of 53 years? Well, it turns out that was the amount of time between the book release and the movie release. And I thought that was kind of a neat little thing that I wouldn't have known unless I was doing some research. And then the final thing that I recognized and realized during this script while reviewing our edit before releasing it to you guys was I did not realize that the nerd outtake, which is one of my favorite sins, because it just took me off guard. Like when I was reading it in the script and I read nerd, I was like, oh, that's funny, But then when I was watching it, the delivery of the word nerd slayed me. And I was like, man, Jeremy did such a good job. So, super behind the scenes thing, we did the script a long time ago because it had to go through a lot of work to make sure we could release it for you guys. And since then, it's been used again, and I realized that it's obviously not Jeremy, that it is Homer, which made much more sense. But that was my first time in the moment realizing that it's a recurring joke thing. I did not know that, and I genuinely thought that Jeremy delivered the nerd.
That's so funny. We also occasionally use the Revenge of the Nerds ogre, but that's more of a chant. That's more of a nerds.
Right.
Yeah, that is tied for the most popular Simpsons outtake with "I regret nothing."
Yeah,
those are probably the two we use the most. But that's really funny. Okay, so I did have one other thing before we head on to the next segment, because there is a scene in the Grinch video, and I didn't work on the Grinch video, but this is me keeping tabs about something I didn't work on. There is mention of the never having thought of the Grinch's genitalia before in that video. Which immediately reminded that somebody has thought of the Grinch's genitalia before. Funny or Die did a hilarious article that just happened to pop up. I put the link in our private chat, now listen. I'm not telling you have to click on this. If you want to,
I'm not.
If you want to, Funny or Die did a thing where they had all of their writers.
I already had to deal with the tidy whities. I'm not looking at what's beyond that.
They had all of their writers draw what they think the Grinch's genitalia looks like, and it is the whole point of the article. And that sin made me think of that, and so
I
had to give you at least the opportunity to know. And Danae, it looks like you have clicked on the link.
I'm gonna super go click on it because I wrote that sin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's wearing clothes that look just like his body. How is this interesting
that's kind of like that Rebel Wilson scene in Cats where she unzips her. She has other clothes on.
I just want to say the third one makes me laugh the hardest. For whatever reason.
Oh my God. This is really uncomfortable. Oh no.
Yeah, hence why I'm not clicking on it.
Wow. Oh, Jesus. God, that one made my vagina cringe. All right.
I think I know exactly the one you're talking about.
But I really like the one from Nate D. Where you know how it's like the heart is 3 sizes too small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the same image, but it's moved down over the crotch, and it's 3 sizes too small. And the picture is just of the little sad emoji. I think that one's the most appropriate.
I like that, Aaron. When you said my vagina cringe, Aaron's like, yeah, I know the vagina cringing one. I know what you're talking about.
No, I absolutely do. And if you were looking, you would know too. Like,
guys, it's
you know what? I will never look.
It's a hooked.
Let's just say there's a hook with a very sharp talon at the end. So
I'm hoping that's not a talon. I'm hoping that was more like hair or something, which is still really uncomfortable.
You're welcome.
Happy New Year.
I clicked on it.
You are welcome. All right, let's move on to the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're going to take a look at some comments from the videos or from Discord or Twitter or wherever else you are speaking about the things that we are doing. Jonathan, why don't you kick us off? What'd you find?
Mine is from the Grinch and could be Yan TV. It could also be Yawn TV.
Okay.
I don't know. YAN. And they just said the orphanage should be named Who's Kid.
It was so good.
I had that one as one of my ones that I could possibly talk about. So
was dying. I was
so
dying.
wrong and so
the Who's
funny.
Kid orphanage is so great.
It's like they should be ashamed they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Did you see the other one by Trey Best who said Whoville isn't utopian, it's Whotopian?
Yeah.
I'll leave now.
And that one's good too, but the Who's Kid one is so good. It's like one of those. It's one of those comments where you're like, "Do you have contact information?" Because it's really funny. So yeah, that's good stuff. Danae, what did you have?
I liked several, so I'm breaking the rules today.
I'll go first then, just in case, because I only have one, and it is what it is. But okay. I forget what video this is from. So I apologize for that, but it's Shisha's blog 194 says the quote is "No one remembers phone numbers anymore," and then my mind 8675309.
That is that's from The Believer.
Yeah, I think that's what is a. So anyway, that made me laugh. What do you have, Danae?
From the Grinch, all from the Grinch. The wet welder says, "Who needs bread this many hours a day? I do, CinemaSins. The bread man needs his bread. I need my bread." There's so many bread comments.
Yeah,
Silk She Wolf said, "How many plates does one isolated hateful Grinch need? Allow me to show you around my kitchen." That was also hilarious. But the one that I wanted to point out, the highlight, was from You Done Messed Up, Ron. Mariella Q says, "Huge mistake. Two-headed scrubbers are great. They bend toward each other, and you put the silverware between them." Okay, I super forgot that that's actually a thing.
It is actually a thing.
I was so infuriated by that double-headed brush, though, that I'm still glad I got to like channel my rage into the dish thing.
Sure, yeah.
I still feel as though there are many inventions of Dr. Seuss that need to just not be. The double-headed brush that is shown to us does not appear to be flexible in any capacity. So I may still argue that I could still sin it, but I think I should have done some double-headed brush research before using that one. So
as one does.
Nicely pointed out, Mariella.
All right, let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we have seen recently. I'll go first. I've been watching a lot of movies because it is awards season, and I wanted to talk about one. I've watched so many movies, and I do so many podcasts. Like, I don't even know if I've talked about this before. It's quite possible I've talked about this on this podcast. Jonathan will let me know. Have I talked about Promising Young Woman on this podcast? No?
No.
Okay. So I was not expecting this movie to knock me over the way it did. There's something really fresh and interesting about this movie. Just for context, it is a movie about male toxicity, about anything I'm going to say is going to make it sound a little more intense than maybe it is, although this movie is very intense. But, there's like sexual assault stuff, that kind of stuff. Like those are the major themes about what it's dealing with. But it's done in this almost satirical, interesting way. I've never seen anything like it, and I really dug it. I really dug the kind of the tone. It does this really interesting thing with the plot. And I'm speaking around a lot of spoilers because obviously I don't want to give anything away. In fact, it's kind of one of those movies where I'm like, just see it. Just, go see it. Do your trigger research, I guess, first would be something to say. But it's definitely one that is very interesting.
I've seen the trailer a few times because it was showing a lot because it was supposed to come out quite a while ago. So when theaters were still pre-corona theaters.
Pre-corona.
When I was still going to the theater, I saw this trailer quite a few times, and it definitely looked like it was a satirical. Serious, but also had a dark humor to it, I guess, or I don't know if it's dark humor, but
it is. No, parts of it remind me of like
it's Carey Mulligan, right?
Heathers. There's parts of it that feel like that. There's parts of
That's
it
cool.
that I don't know. It's so hard to explain because it's so its own thing, and in a world where a lot of people
just did that. I almost did that.
I know what you're saying though, because Heathers is a great example of something like that. Because I just rewatched that recently. Heathers is so fucking dark.
Yeah, and this is too.
But it's also really funny, and it's really it's really on point, and it's very well, it's well written and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's good. That makes me excited.
If nothing else, it is the exact kind of movie this time of year where I just want everybody to see it so I can have conversations about it.
Yeah.
Like that to me is a sign of something interesting happening where I just want to talk to people about this movie, but nobody else has seen it. And so yeah, anyways, Promising Young Woman, it's Carey Mulligan. Bo Burnham, by the way, is in this movie and plays a really interesting character. In one
Adam Brody's in it, I think, right?
Correct. Max Greenfield, who you know from New Girl, Schmidt on New Girl, Allison Brie, who you know from all the things.
The guy who plays McLovin, Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
So yeah, this movie, it struck me in a really interesting way, and I can't wait to talk to people about it, especially about where it goes, what the plot does, all that kind of interesting stuff. Because man, they make choices. They make choices in this movie, and man, I respect it.
It is available. It did come out in theaters. I think that's the only place it's available right now.
I don't think it's VOD yet. So I got a screener, and so that's how I watched it. But yeah, there you go. Promising Young Woman. It's a recommend for sure, but one with caveats. So,
cool. Yeah. Can I go next? Because mine's very similar.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Mine's a very similar theme movie. It's the new Pixar movie, Soul.
Yes, those two movies are basically identical.
Have you? I know you've seen it, Aaron. Have you seen it, Danae? Have you watched it yet on Disney Plus?
No, I haven't watched it yet, but I've been seeing so much positivity that I will watch it soon.
It's interesting. Like it. I'd be really curious to see what you thought, because it's definitely a movie that gave me the feels, and I don't think a Pixar movie has done that for me since like maybe Coco.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's the best Pixar movie I've seen since Inside Out.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know there's some, like Cars.
And it's the same guy. It's both Pete Docter.
That's right. Yeah,
directed
it's
both
Pete
of them.
Docter.
Yeah.
Well, he did Monsters, Inc. too, which is also one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to give up another chance because I clearly like Pete Docter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I want to talk about it because I actually didn't know that much going in, and there's like a bit of a twist early on that I kind of enjoyed not knowing. So I want to keep that friendly if you haven't seen a trailer or anything yet. But no, I really really like this. It's about a young I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but he's a musician and he's a music teacher, and he may or may not be getting a big break, and then things happen like they do in these kind of movies. And the voice work in this movie, it's Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they both do excellent work with their characters. And I don't know if this is a complaint or not. My daughter couldn't really get into it. And I will say this felt very adult to me.
Yeah.
Not that it's like dark or anything, but it's just the subject matter. I don't
it's
know
so
how
philosophical. You know, it's so deep. Yeah.
It is. It's very deep. It's very philosophical, and it's about aging and, you know, maybe not being where you want to be in life, which are very adult concepts. So I thought that was interesting. Because, I mean, you know, Pixar's always been like, they're good, you know, adults get a lot out of them and kids get a lot out of them. But I felt this one really felt almost 100% adult.
Yeah.
Which for me, it's fine. But I don't know if a lot of kids are going to love it. I don't know.
Obviously, my kids are older. They dug it.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I told Danae earlier, I said, I'm really interested to see Iris's reaction if you guys watch it with her, and know how she reacts to this movie on a child level, because I'm with you, Jonathan. This feels very adult to me.
Yeah.
In all the right ways. So, yeah.
And Mackenzie, I mean, she didn't dislike it or anything. I could just tell she just didn't really get much out of it. Like she just, you know, she was going to her phone a lot more than she normally does and stuff like that. But I loved it. I honestly have not been able to stop thinking about it. There's still some movies that I want to see, but I think this is my number one right now for 2020.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not the Pixar whore that Aaron is.
I'm so glad you're saying all the things that people would expect me to say.
I'm kidding.
No. It does. It means a lot more coming from you than from me. And I say that understanding my own bias. I told somebody the other day, maybe even you guys, but I can't see straight on a Pixar movie for a year. And I know that. I know it takes at least a year for me to really see straight on it, just because I just love what they do. They're so right up my alley. But currently, knowing that, yeah, I think this is a transcendent masterpiece. I love this movie. I think it's incredible.
I think especially if they're like of this past decade's output, I think this is up there with like Inside Out. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have it in my my top 5 Pixar, which is saying something for me. So because I felt broken after Onward, because you guys were saying such nice things about how Onward got you, and I just do not like that movie. Yeah.
And this one got me though. Like it did. It was kind of a slow thing too, where I was just watching like, this is cool. And then I never cried, but I started getting like, you know, just caught up in it.
Like ninja emotions where it just kind of sneaks up on you before you realize that you're feeling something.
I just kept getting caught up more in it. And then when it ended, I was just like,
too late.
I was like, no, like what? And it's a perfect ending, by the way. I love the ending, but
I do too.
But it's kind of one of those things where I'm just like, wait, what? And it was confusing too, because it is as long as Disney Plus says, but it's quite a bit. Like it ends, I don't know. It ends quicker than I thought it would. Let's put it that way. But anyways, loved it.
Yep, me too. Danae, what do you got?
We had kind of mentioned, it's probably going to be in the outtakes. We're talking about parenting. I know, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, right? About how our parents. But anyways, I was mentioning that I tried to learn about parenting without yelling. And so I thought that today I would actually just give a shout out to the website that I go to for resources. And it's called positiveparentingsolutions.com. And Amy McCready is the person that's like the teacher, and she talks about her own story. She was raised by yelling parents. She yelled a whole lot to raise her kids because it worked. It got their attention. But then she didn't have anywhere to go after yelling. Like if you go all the way to 10, you don't get to go to 11. And so she began to educate herself, and she learned about these other techniques. And now she teaches this course. And she has a free course. You just click on when you go to the website, there's like a little button at the top that says free online course. I have taken that 3 times now. So I just continue to try to educate myself. And then you can like purchase all of her archives for learning all these other tips and tricks and techniques which I actually intend to do because I kind of dig her style, especially after taking the free class multiple times. So anyhow, she has a blog with a whole bunch of free ideas and resources and things like that. And again, it's called Positive Parenting Solutions. I know not everybody listening is a parent, but it helped me a lot as a new mom just to be aware of some things. And I'm trying to create good habits at the start. But she does talk about how it doesn't matter how old your kids are. Her free course can help anyone who has a 2.5-year-old all the way up to, I think she says like 16 or 17. There's things inside that free education that you can use, like tools you can use to help communicate with your child and get on the same page. So, and she specifically says that because she was the parent who started to learn about not yelling when her children were older. They weren't little. So I kind of feel, I'm glad that I have it while Iris is young because I still have a lot to learn about. I know I'm going to pass stuff on to her unintentionally. And this is just one of those where I know it's a weakness of mine because I was around a yelling parent. And so I need to be more aware of that's not something I want to do. So that's my goal going in, but it has some really interesting tips, especially the free class about, like, for example, having the child repeat back what the consequence will be. Mm-hmm. And she also talks about the difference between punishment and consequences, and that consequences are like an educational thing. You're trying to teach the child about consequences. You're not trying to punish them because punish will make them potentially become more sneaky about things later on rather than talking to you about their struggles. Yeah. And so, which is exactly what happened to me. I got really sneaky. And so I'm like, okay, this is really important stuff to think about. Not that I'm going to save and solve every problem that could ever happen. That's not my goal. My goal is to just try to be a more present and aware parent. So that is one of the resources that I go to. And I just thought I'd talk about it since it came up earlier. Again, it's called positiveparenting.solutions.com. Amy McCready is the founder and president.
That sounds awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. I could have learned a lot early on that I learned later on that would have helped. But you're right. It's never too late to continue, not just to learn how to be a better parent, but just to continue to learn how to be a better human. You know, like that's the thing, how we can treat each other better. And yeah, I dig it. Very, very nice. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got something you want to send us in the mail, that's right, we snail mail. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri, 65738 is our address. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, yards of heavily reinforced rebar, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy New Year!
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
I haven't got an update today. He goes up and down a lot. So,
which makes sense because he's an elevator operator. I don't know why, guys. It's just how my brain works, and sometimes
COVID jokes. We'll just have a segment every week. COVID jokes.
COVID jokes.
My favorite one, Jonathan, is the third one, and it's basically it's the Grinch's torso, and where the penis would be, it's basically the Grinch just hanging upside down, like he is his own genitalia.
That's amazing.
It's so funny.
Here we go. Oh my God, I think it's working. Oh my God.
What?
Yeah. I did have a Chihuahua earlier. That's gone, so I don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Well, because my brother-in-law. But earbuds just aren't great for your ears. Do you put anything in your ears, Aaron?
It's kind of a personal question, but
this will be releasing in the new year, yeah? Nope.
Yeah, this is this is our last
the night of.
This is our last 2020
correct
podcast.
Fuck you 2020. Hello 2021.
It's interesting to see kids' different personalities, 3 of my boys were like, okay, what's the budget? And then they got like the, the biggest gift they could think of for that budget.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my boys was just like, here's the list of everything I want. And so it's like we have, 9 gifts under the tree, like one for each of 3 of the boys, and then 6 gifts for him. It's like,
okay.
Yeah, so that's how it works. He wanted like a new set of juggling balls, stainless steel chopsticks, a pocket watch.
God, he's you.
Do you know like the slap bracelets?
Mm-hmm.
So that they snap on, and then you can like open them back up for play.
You got this for Iris.
I got that for Iris.
I was very confused for a second.
For myself, guys.
Yeah, well, I was like,
me.
is this something Justin got you? Because I don't want to know anymore.
No. How many times do you think he said, hold on a second?
You know what?
I thought
you hold on a second.
How many times? I think we should put it in the show.
Just in a row? All the hold on a seconds in a row?
I'm not recording.
Oh, no.
But I am.
All right, hold on a second. Hold on. All right, hold on. Hold on a second. All right, hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me get my Disney back up. Man, if you knew what my life was like the last few days, you'd leave me alone.
Oh, no.